You're listening to School Counseling Simplified, a podcast with easy-to-implement strategies for busy school counselors. Here's your host, Rachel Davis from Bright Futures Counseling.
Let's play a little game of Would You Rather, School Counselor Edition. Okay, would you rather spend your weekend planning a group or spend your afternoon sitting in irrelevant PD? Yikes. Or would you rather be the only counselor with no one to collaborate with, or to spend hours searching online for engaging activities? All of these options are pretty bad, right? But unfortunately, they're all too real. But what if I told you I had a solution for you? What if I told you I had access to hundreds of school counseling lessons, groups, and activities, counselor-specific trainings on the topics you need most, and a community of like-minded school counselors to support you? You would say, yes, please. Well, that is what Impact is all about. Impact is my monthly membership for school counselors, and it helps you with all of these things. You get access to hundreds of resources. That's unlimited free downloads. Log in and get what you need right away to every single resource that's in my store. We add new resources each and every month. We're adding a new middle school and elementary resource each month, and some of these are bonus Impact exclusives, meaning that you can get resources just for members. You can request resources that you need and easily search so you can find exactly what you're looking for. And let's talk about the trainings, counselor-specific trainings on the topics you need most. We do these each and every month as part of our Coffee with the Counselor series. Impact members get to join for absolutely free. You earn PD certificates and you get exclusive access to members-only things like the Ultimate Small Group Experience and our Summer Summit Conference. And the community. Y'all, this is possibly my favorite part of Impact. I so look forward to jumping on these calls, to getting to know counselors who are similar to me and also completely different. It's so fun to hear from your experiences and your challenges, and everyone brings a unique perspective to the table. We have an exclusive online community, and we even have a cool app where you can chat with other counselors in these community circles. We have our monthly calls, like I mentioned, twice a month, and we share wins, troubleshoot tough cases, and just talk about what it's like to be a counselor, because so often we're on our own island at our school sites. So if any of that sounds like it's for you, I would love to see you inside Impact. Go to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/impact to solve all of your counselor problems. And I have a special offer for my listeners. Use code POD at checkout to save 10% off your first month. Okay, let's go to today's episode. Hey there, I'm back with another episode of School Counseling Simplified. So for today, I'm actually replaying an old episode, a super old episode. So if you've joined me later in the podcast journey, you may have never heard this one, but I wanted to bring it out from, way back in the closet, because it is all about Halloween candy buckets, which you might be thinking, what do those have to do with counseling? But I have some really cool ideas for how you can create counseling games using Halloween candy buckets. So I thought this would be seasonal and timely and fun in a way that you can kind of like spice up your counseling lessons with a seasonal twist to really engage students this time of year. So I will go ahead and play that episode now. Do you ever wish someone would tell you what you're supposed to be doing, when you're supposed to be doing it, and how you're supposed to be doing it? Well, I've got you covered with school counseling lesson plans for the entire school year. And the best part, they're absolutely free. Go to bit.ly/counseling lesson plans to download yours today. I hope you find these super helpful and you're going to have the best year yet. Hey there, happy Halloween, and thanks for listening to another episode of School Counseling Simplified. So I just love this time of year. October is one of my favorite months. I just think it's so fun. I really like fall and pumpkins and Halloween, and it's like a fun holiday to celebrate because you can still get festive, but it doesn't have as much pressure as a lot of the other holidays like Christmas and stuff. So I really like October, so I wanted to wrap it up with a seasonal inspired episode for you today. And I'm going to show you 5 ways that you can use Halloween candy buckets in school counseling. So when I say Halloween candy buckets, you can probably picture them. They're like plastic, round, typically shape of a pumpkin, looks like a jack-o'-lantern. Now I've seen them, they're even just bucket shaped, and they come in different colors like pink and green and purple. But they're just fun, they're created for trick-or-treating, for kids to put their candy in. But I have some ways that you can repurpose them and use them for school counseling activities. So if you already have some of these laying around, perfect. You don't need to buy anything. But if you want to pick some up at like Dollar Tree, or I saw some recently at Target, that were super inexpensive. Of course, there's always Amazon. I encourage you to order a couple or grab some today so you can try out these activities with your kiddos this week. Okay, so the first thing you can do is use them to identify and change negative thoughts. So basically, these buckets are great for sorting. I love to use sorting activities with students so they can cut out paper strips and sort them between two buckets. I usually just have them sort them to piles on the table, but the buckets are just a fun, seasonal, festive way to do things. And anytime we can switch up an activity and make it really memorable, the kiddos are more likely to retain the information and really latch on to the concept. So how you could do this is you're going to help students change their negative thoughts to positive thoughts by having them sort the statements into two different buckets. So first, have them pair an old negative thought to its new positive counterpart. So for example, I never do anything right, to everyone makes mistakes. So that's an example of the negative thought, and then changing it to the positive thought. So you're going to first have them pair up the thoughts. Then you're going to have them drop them into different buckets. So put all the negative thoughts into one bucket and then all the positive thoughts into one bucket. These are like generic ones that you can come up with before, and you can repurpose these with lots of different students. But if you're working with older kiddos, you could have them write some of their own negative thoughts and then change them right there on the spot with you. So if they're little guys, you can just have them practice matching it and then separating them into the different buckets. But if they're older students, you can dig a little deeper and say, like, what are some, negative thoughts, automatic negative thoughts that you have? And we can write them down together, and then you can have them change them to a positive thought. So that's really powerful. And then you can sort them into the two different buckets. The second activity you could do, also sorting, is tattling versus reporting. So you can write common scenarios and phrases on strips of paper and then have the students decide if the person is tattling or if they are reporting. So you have one bucket for tattling, one bucket for reporting. So for example, tattling would be Sarah's looking at her iPad instead of reading. And then reporting would be John hit Blaine at recess. So you just have some different scenarios, and the kids have to decide, is this tattling or is this reporting? Now, you can do these bucket activities at the individual level. That's super easy, especially that negative thought one. I think that's really powerful at the individual level. But for like tattling versus reporting, I think this one would be really fun at a whole class level. So you could do a class lesson, have your buckets in the front, and then have the kids get up. It's always good to get them up and moving. So have the students stand up and then walk to sort the buckets. And obviously this would work great in a small group as well. Okay, the third one, growth mindset versus fixed mindset. So similar to the negative thoughts activity, you're going to have students sort growth mindset and fixed mindset into two different buckets. And then with the older kiddos, again, you can have them identify their own fixed mindsets. So get really reflective with them. So a fixed mindset is something like, if something's challenging, I should give up. And then a growth mindset would say, I'll try again and ask for help. So you're going to have the different paper strips, and then they're going to sort them. Put all the growth mindset into this bucket and all the fixed into this bucket. And again, you could have them pair the two like you did with the negative thoughts. Okay, for the fourth one, size of the problem. So this one's fun. This one's not just sorting into two buckets. You're actually going to have 5 buckets. So you could do tiny, small, medium, big, and huge. Or if you want to simplify it a little bit, you could just use 3 buckets, small, medium, and big. Now, if you can actually find the bucket sizes, that would be rad. But if they're all the same size, you can just label them with the different sizes. So you just get a piece of tape or write on there, small problem, big problem. And some examples of this would be, you forgot today was dress-up day at school. That would be a small problem. A medium problem is something like your best friend doesn't want to play with you anymore. And a big problem would be your parents are getting a divorce. So size of the problem, I just love teaching that to kiddos because it really helps them frame the size of their problem, their appropriate reaction, and how they can solve their problem. So of course, you're going to, you know what to do. You're the counselor. You're going to have all these juicy follow-up conversations. So, ask them if they've had a similar problem. Ask them what they would do to solve the problem. Ask them what they think an appropriate reaction would be. So the sorting into the buckets is just kind of like a fun visual starting point, something tangible they can do to really start these deeper conversations. Because if you just have a student sit down at the table and you say, hey, tell me about a problem you had, the size of it, and what you could do differently or how you would solve it, they're like, But if you get them thinking and moving and chatting a little bit, then you can really start to have those deeper conversations. And finally, my last one for you, you probably guessed it because I love this topic, self-regulation. So you can have students practice self-regulation by sorting feelings and behaviors into buckets. So for this one, it is important on the colors of the buckets. So try to find them that are green, blue, yellow, and red, because those are those zones colors. And then you would have different feelings, so like sad, nervous, calm, excited, angry, scared, and they would drop, those papers into the different buckets. Or you could have the behaviors as well, so like kicking or punching, those would probably go with the angry, with the red, or maybe crying would go with the blue, with the sad. This one's great on a one-on-one because you can really dive deeper into the conversation. So maybe they put kicking in the sad bucket instead of kicking with the angry bucket. And you're like, oh, you kick when you're sad. So there's not really a right or wrong answer here. I mean, these are just their feelings and their behaviors. So it's a really cool starting point to have some deeper conversations. Because these are pumpkin buckets, a fun thing you can do is cut out like the shape of a seed, like a pumpkin seed, instead of just a strip of paper. You can do all of these on little pumpkin seeds, and then they can do like a seed sort and put the seeds into the different buckets. Okay, guys, I hope that was fun. I hope you tried that out this week. Pick up some little buckets and then get to seed sorting with your kids. If you do it, I would love to see photos. So please tag me on Instagram at Bright Futures Counseling so I can check it out and share them so other counselors can get inspired as well. Okay, guys, I hope you have an awesome end to your October, and I will talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to School Counseling Simplified. You can find the links from today's episode in the show notes. If you'd like to connect with Rachel, she's on Instagram and Teachers Pay Teachers at Bright Futures Counseling. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes of School Counseling Simplified. Talk to you next week.